That's just weird. That's just, like, I don't... Weird vibes.
Hey, it's me.
Hello and welcome back to The Web, starring Nicole Webb. Nick Webb, me, that's me. If it's your first time tuning into my channel, hi, my name is Nick. I post weekly on YouTube, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays, and then sometimes a second video on the weekend, surprise video on the weekends. But for sure, every week I'm posting, so make sure you subscribe and hang out, and let's get into it. So today we're doing just a get ready with me because I have my husband's cousin's graduation to go to tonight, and then we leave for vacation tomorrow. So we're doing a get ready with me and get to know me. Hi! I've posted a few videos already, and I feel like you've been able to see parts of my life, but you haven't really gotten to know me. So I want to do this nice introduction video. I'm using e.l.f. the Power Grip Primer, which is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer dupe, and I honestly think it's better than the Milk one. If you have come here from my TikTok, let me know, but if you have just found me, stumbled upon me on YouTube, I also want to know. I think I've kind of started making the YouTube videos with the assumption that I was going to be able to kind of transfer my community from TikTok over to YouTube. And I don't know like how well I've successfully done that. So I'll start with, hi, my name is Nicole, or I go by Nick. I am 26 years old. I'm married to the absolute love of my life. Nicole is not my actual name. My first name is Jessica. Also, I'm going in with the Hollywood Flawless filter. Charlotte Tilbury. My first name is Jessica, so my name my whole life has been Jessica Nicole. In high school, I wanted to start going by my middle name. My mom even asked me, because I was like going up to high school and it said like, do you want to go by any, like what's your birth name and then are there any other names you want to go by, like on my high school application or something. My mom joked, she's like, do you want to start going by your middle name? And I said no because I was going to a high school where like predominantly all of my junior high was going, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna rebrand in high school, that's weird. And then I get to my freshman year homeroom class, and I went to a private high school. It was small already, and within my small private school freshman homeroom class, there were already 5 Jessicas. I think not including me. But in my freshman class, I think there was a total of 6. By the time graduation happened, it dwindled down to just like the final 3. And I remember just like sitting in my freshman year homeroom class, first day of school, being like, I should have started going by Nicole because there wasn't a single Nicole. e.l.f. Brow Lift, the gel, I do think it's also better than the Anastasia one. e.l.f.'s dupes did not come to play. So I moved to Los Angeles when I'm 18 to go to cosmetology school. Ideally, I wanted to pursue acting. Life changed. We could get into that later. And I go to a small church, and there's like 4 other Jessicas already. And so like my first day at this church, the joke was like, well, one already goes by Jess, one already goes by Jessie, one already goes by Jessica, one already goes by her last name, so we should just start calling you by your middle name. It stuck for some people. There was like a couple people that called me Nicole. I like went ahead and changed like my Twitter handles, my email, because I was like, yeah, this is the time for me to rebrand. And it didn't fully stick, but like for the most part it did. And I had changed like my email to be addressed by Nicole. Then I moved to Sacramento, and I moved with people who called me by my first name, people who knew me as that. So in Sacramento, I just kept going back by my first name because I'm like, oh, that's what these people know me as. Easier, it's my first name. And there were no Jessicas. I was the only one. Then COVID hits and I get to move back to the place I went to high school at, and I had applied for a job. And what I didn't realize, I put like Jessica Nicole on all my applications, but what I didn't realize is when I emailed my application over to the owner of the cafe that I was applying to, and this is in 2020, and this is 5 years after I had moved to LA, I forgot that I had changed the name to Nicole on my email. So the owner starts addressing me by Nicole because that's like the email that it's coming from. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's embarrassing. Like I don't want to correct the owner. I really wanted this job. Like it was the only job I wanted in town. Get to my interview with the owner's husband and the general manager, and so it's just these 2 guys in front of me. They were like, so you have 2 names on your application, like what do you go by? And I was like, well, I've gone by both in just different instances in my life, so I'm kind of fine with either one. And they were like, at the same time, just 2 men like, place, new you can rebrand, what do you want to go by, pick your name now, blah, blah, blah. And I was like overwhelmed, and I just like blurted out Nicole, and it's stuck. And then I met my husband at that said job. So he's only, well, even before that, I went into this whole, like, I was also going through like a breakup, and I had just moved from a very traumatic place, and I was healing. I was kind of rebranding myself in general. I did kind of go through like a rebirth of myself in 2020 and 2021. So it like kind of was the perfect time. And I remember also being so emotional, like before like my husband was my husband, like before him and I were even dating, I remember just being like, the next guy, like it might, so emotional of me. Going by Jessica has been tainted by all these other guys. The next guy who's gonna tell me he loves me, it's gonna be, I love you, Nicole, not I love you, Jessica, and it's gonna be, that's gonna be my husband or whatever. I had this whole like emotional scenario behind it, but that's what ended up happening, because then I met my husband at that said job. He only calls me Nicole. He's called me Jessica a handful of times. A lot of times is when he's like joking around. And yeah, the first and only person to tell me I love you, Nicole, was my husband. So I got what I wanted. So that will explain if you ever see on comments or on anything of mine, if some people refer to me as Jessica or Nicole. I prefer Nicole, but the people who have known me as Jessica for like 10 plus years, like my best friends of all time, I don't make them call me Nicole, because I'm like, you spent majority our whole time knowing each other, call me one name, like that's fine, you don't have to call me Nicole. But I do prefer to go by Nicole, and I've even had some friends who have known me for years have adjusted to calling me Nicole. So it's just kind of, it's both. I respond to both. I prefer Nicole. If you're somebody who has met me as Nicole and then you try to call me Jessica, I do get kind of annoyed. My family still calls me Jessica. My husband's family calls me Nicole. Also, I am using Anastasia Dip Brow on my eyebrows. And I know that I also am supposed to have technically darker eyebrows to go with my hair. But I have literally the entire pot, and this is expensive and I'm not wasting it, and I never stick to one hair color long enough, so I'm not gonna dye my eyebrows. And I'm not gonna buy a new brow product. Going in with Rare Beauty foundation, the best foundation ever. But I am married. I'm not wearing my ring right now. I don't wear my ring when I do my makeup just because I don't want it to get dirty. But I have been married for over 6 months now. My husband and I have been together for 2 years, over 2 years, 2.5 years. Oh, no. Not me maybe having to bartend tonight. No, that's too stressful. My friend owns a mobile bar business, and I work for him sometimes. Hello.
Okay, so you're not free tonight?
I'm not. I have Landon's cousin's graduation, which I could miss, but also we leave at 2:30 a.m. That's just weird. That's just, like, I don't... Weird vibes. Going in with the Anastasia contour stick. So my husband and I met at the job that started calling me Nicole, and that, like, our story in itself deserves its own, like, dedicated YouTube video. Like, it's a beautiful story. I love the story. There's so many, like, little key parts to it where, you know, like the whole Taylor Swift invisible string tied whatever. I also think the invisible string theory didn't start from Taylor Swift, but I know she, like, made a song about it or something. Literally, we had an invisible string tying us together our whole lives. I, like, had dreams literally confirming that he was like the one for me. We are soulmates. And there's just so many little things where it's like we were meant to be together. And even as we go further and further into our relationship, and the deeper we go and the more challenges we face as a couple, and he is my soulmate, hands down, period. I had to learn to just let somebody in. I had gone through so much hurt. I'm also doing the Morphe blush. I had gone through so much hurt. I was so scared to let him in. I literally was actually talking to my wax girl about this, because I got a Brazilian for the first time in my life today. I was talking to the wax girl about this because she was like, I was like, yeah, I'm married. And she's like, I'm so scared to get married. Like, being with the same person forever, it's terrifying. And I was like, I thought that until I met my husband. I used to work at a bar, and obviously, like, being a cute little bartender, you want to flirt with the guys to get more money. I hated when straight men would sit at my bar. I would give him good service, but even all my coworkers were like, you can just tell when a straight man sits down at your bar, you are so uninterested. And I'm like, I am. I hate men. I hate straight stinky men, except for my straight stinky man. He literally changed my life and has made me a better person, and I love him so much. What I have learned about, like, relationships and love in general is you just always need to be growing together, just growing, because you're never going to be perfect and you're going to change and you are going to be a different version of yourself at all times. I'm just setting my under eyes. I don't wear concealer because I haven't found one that doesn't crease under my eyes. So I used to be a bartender. I had been in the service industry for a total of 5 years. I started out as a host at the Cheesecake Factory in LA when I was going to cosmetology school. Moved my way up to a server, transferred to a Cheesecake Factory up north, quit that to be a pastor, and I was in ministry for 3 years, and I was in ministry for 3 years, and I was a pastor for 2 years, I think. And then COVID hit, moved back to where I live currently, got a job as a server, moved my way up to barista bartender. I was also a barista while bartending, did that for a little over a year, bartended some more, and now I do freelance marketing, and then I do freelance bartending where my friend, he owns a mobile bar business and I help him out with events here and there. I'm going in with the Fenty bronzer and I'm just going back over my contour. I'm doing a Revolution blush. I did ministry in total for probably 7-ish years. I was like paid ministry for 3 years, pastor for 2, and I currently no longer go to church, period. And that is its own story in itself. My husband and I do not want children. If we do, it's gonna be like 1 child when I'm 35. I have some trauma when it comes to the thought and the idea of pregnancy. My mom had a miscarriage right before she had me. My sister had a miscarriage with her first child, and I just have it convinced in my head that miscarriages run in our family, even though that's not true because my mom had one like really far along into her pregnancy. My sister had an ectopic pregnancy, so it's like the odds are pretty high, but I also I might not. I also know miscarriages are they just happen, and it's not the mom's fault or anything. I just personally do not feel like that is something I emotionally could come back from, so I'm terrified to get pregnant. But I do want to have my husband's child. Like, I would love to be like a mom to my husband's child. I would love to see my husband as a dad. But my husband is also pursuing, one, I'm afraid of childbirth. I also don't feel like I have a lot of maternal instincts like that. Like, I feel like I'm the fun aunt. I've always been the fun aunt. I don't know if I'm a mom. My husband is also currently in pre-med, and we will be moving wherever for medical school in like a year from now. He takes his MCAT at the end of this year. We're in the middle of a very long track of school for him. The biggest thing is we just can't afford kids right now. They're expensive. And his biggest thing is once he gets to medical school, after medical school, there's residency where you're essentially working 80-hour weeks for like $5 an hour. And my husband's biggest thing has always and will always be, he does not want to be an absent father. So we would wait until, like, if we're gonna have kids, we would wait until he is done with residency, because he at least wants to have an idea of more of what kind of practice he's actually gonna do. But I'm also totally fine if we never have kids and we just continue to have a bunch of dogs and cats for the rest of our lives. This lash, I can already tell, is going to give me problems tonight. I'm going in with the Anastasia Glow Kit, and I'm mixing Gumdrop and Butterscotch as my highlighter. I have the Too Faced Lip Plumper on my lips right now, and then I'll like do my lip routine. My husband and I have 3 animals. They're all ours now, but he had a pit bull named Gracie that became my daughter, and I had a Yorkie named Romeo that became his son. We're a blended family. And then together we have a cat named Boots that adopted us. He chose us as his family. That in itself is a great story. They actually all really, really get along. They're all best friends. Now this eyelash is gonna give me problems. And that is just a couple little fun facts about me so far. I have like so many things I could say, but in the meantime, that's just a short little introduction to me. Leave me questions, anything you wanna know. I'm an open book, but it was great to meet you. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, follow, turn on post notifications. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, bye.